Well, Jenese, all the kids will be up. They'll be at the bus stop. They'll be walking. They'll be taking pictures tomorrow morning. What will the weather be like?
Most of our counties will have a break right around sunrise and for a couple of hours as kids are headed to school. But other than that, you're going to see some isolated rain and storms throughout most of the day, with the peak of it happening between 1 and 7 p.m. on Monday.
Which would mean when they're coming home.
They're coming home.
Yeah.
So let's take a look right now what's happening and what's going to be happening in the next 24 hours. First, this is the site so many of you are seeing. Some clouds in the sky, a little bit overcast, some sunshine. A beautiful view, but just not the Florida view we're used to as these winds from the southeast and south in the east continue bringing with it some unstable air, bringing some rain and some thunderstorms. Taking a look at exact track 40 radar across the board. The biggest concern is in southeast Georgia, where we are very concerned, especially for you along the coast, Brunswick, Woodbine down to Kingsland, when it comes to the possibility of more flooding. If you're in a low-lying area where there's persistent rain and the ground's already saturated, you are most likely to experience flooding, especially over these next couple of days. Small cell making its way going towards the northeast, coming northwest, coming from the southeast, moving just north of Brunswick. There are also a couple cells of rain. They're starting to pop up, moving between Woodbine and Folkestone, but bulk of the rain is in Waycross and Blackshear right now. Taking a look at northeast Florida, Lake City, you're getting some small cells as well that are moving towards the west-northwest. High Springs, Newberry, more of the same, as well as Gainesville. All of these storms are going to be coming from the southeast. If you look in that direction, you'll see the clouds and you'll see some of these isolated rain showers and storms moving. Stark, more of the same as well. As we take a look along 301, Keystone Heights, Hawthorne, Interlochen. Good evening to you. Look at this large cell of thunderstorms making their way slowly coming up from the south, and this is going to continue actually for at least an hour or two. And as we look along 17, Palaca, Hastings, down into Crescent City, you are also going to start experiencing some of these larger, more widespread thunderstorms that have heavy downpours attached to them, and they're going to continue for at least another hour. Along the coast, St. Augustine, Flagler Beach, you're in the clear now, but you will be impacted by some of those storms that are coming from the south. Clay County, Duval, Nassau, and parts of St. John's, you're in the clear for now, but you will also experience some light rain into the evening. So let's take a look ahead around 7 p.m. Take a look how you can see southeast Georgia. You're going to be dealing with more of the light to moderate rain, whereas northeast Florida will, as I just mentioned to you, start to see these larger thunderstorms with heavy downpours coming from the south, impacting our counties of Alachua, Flagler, Putnam, and St. John's first, and then making their way through with some larger storms popping up between 9 and 10 p.m. for Clay, Duval, Nassau, Baker County, Columbia as well. And then you can see in the 1 a.m. hour, according to Futurecast, we will still have some light to moderate rain near that Florida-Georgia border for our counties along I-10 and in southeast Georgia along the coast, where you're most prone and vulnerable to having more flooding occur. And then you'll get a break between 6 and 9 o'clock in the morning when the kids are headed to school. But look how we're going to start to see those small cells of rain popping up again as we get into the afternoon with the cloud coverage. 1 o'clock, as I mentioned to Scott, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then these storms start to head out west along that I-10, I-75 corridor by when? 7:45. So between 7 and 8 p.m. they'll start to move out west and then further up north into portions of Georgia, southern Georgia, and then we're in the clear. That's what's going to happen on Monday. Keep that in mind, folks. But we're going to have a very similar pattern throughout the week. Temperatures right now are in the mid to upper 80s, low 90s across the board. Winds are breezy along the coast coming from the east, from Brunswick all the way down to Palm Coast. So if you're along the coast, that's what's happening right now. That wind from the east will still have a chance for rain into the early morning hours and into the evening. 80% chance right now will dwindle down to 40-30% overnight. Tomorrow we will be experiencing thunderstorms, but look at the rain accumulation possibilities along the coast. Fairly light. Gainesville, St. Mary's, Brunswick, looking at 1/4 of an inch to an inch. Elsewhere, it'll be smaller, closer to 1/10 of an inch to 1/100 of an inch. We're going to maintain around the average for 91 degrees as our high throughout this week. And as we track the tropics very quickly, a 50 to 90% chance for this tropical wave to end up developing over the next 2 to 7 days, and only a 10 to 20% chance for this this disturbance rather, that's in central Atlantic Ocean developing as well. Neither of them will impact us, but it could change the risk that we have for our rip currents and shifting into high. As we look look long term. Take a look at these long-term GFS and Euro models. Look how they're agreeing as this one system cuts through the tropics, making its way headed towards the east. Then there's a split on agreement as to what could potentially happen with that disturbance. But in both cases, the models are not showing anything coming our way. But tonight, back here at home, as we continue to track the tropics, back at home, the temperatures in the morning will begin in the mid to upper 70s, peaking in the upper 80s, low 90s for everyone across the board tomorrow. And here's a quick look at my 3-day and 7-day forecast, folks. 80% chance for thunderstorms, if nothing else, rain in your area for Monday, and more of the same on Tuesday. Wednesday, 60%, Thursday, 50%, Friday, 60%, Saturday, 70%, and Sunday, 20%.
Well, the Jaguars lost last night in their first preseason game against the Steelers.
But this is, as Scott would say, just the preseason.
Just the preseason.
Sports for Jack's anchor. Jamal St. Cyr is here. It takes a look at both the good and the bad of last night's game. Jamal.
The Jaguars have wrapped up their first preseason game, and I figure this is as good a time as any to roll out our first pivot points of the year and take a look at some of the good and some of the bad. Let's start with bad. This is a problem. You never want to see this. I don't care if it's preseason. Drop passes, you can't do that. You just can't do that. Drop passes have been a problem for the Jaguars and their pass catchers for what feels like forever. And we saw it again out there on the preseason field. You can't do that. And the facial expression from Travis Hunter there says it all. You cannot drop passes like that. There were way too many drops from a lot of guys. Now, the good news is it wasn't a lot of the Jaguars' offensive, key guys that were dropping passes. These were more reserve kind of players. So we'll see if they can get this cleaned up, but that's a problem whether it's preseason or not. All right, let's go on to the next one. This one is a more positive one. How about this kick? 70 yards. You don't see that every day, and the team celebrated like you don't see it every day. They rushed the field to absolutely celebrate. Shout out to Cam Little. The man's range is unlimited, and he made it very very clear after the game to us. He said he is keeping that football Canton, Ohio can call somebody else because that one is staying with him. Congratulations to Cam Little. Fantastic kick. Let's keep going with the good. How about this? You got to see Travis Hunter on both offense and defense. This is what you wanted to see, and you got every little bit of it. Travis Hunter playing a handful of snaps on offense with the first team, playing a handful of snaps with the defense with the second team, and you know what? He looked good doing it. Look, he caught a pass out there on offense, which you like to see. And then on defense, look, it doesn't go in the stat column that he caused the sack, but he was the main reason that DeJuan Smoot got his sack. Travis Hunter looks fantastic out there on the football field. And it's something that you can't forget about. And you know the best part of all of it? You saw him on offense, you saw him on defense, and he went home healthy. That's the best part of all of it when it comes to what happened out there on the field. All right. One more thing that we'll take a look at, and it's another rookie, because look at this handoff. Bashaw Tootin is tootin', scooting, and pushing the pile. How about that from Tootin to go on ahead and get in the end zone? Tough running from there. Tootin is a fast guy. He is a big play waiting to happen, but also a tough runner. He's built low to the ground, and he used it to push the pop. You look down there at the ground, them legs just keep on churning, and then this big offensive lineman getting there to help him push his pile right on into the end zone. Those are the sorts of plays you want to see from a running back who's trying to earn a spot and earn a role on the team. Bashaw Tootin running hard. This was one of the plays where I was just like, whew, give me some more of that. You like to see that kind of thing from the guys. One preseason game in the books. You still got 2 more to go. I know a loss scares a lot of people, but it's just preseason football. They were undefeated in preseason and have struggled in the regular season. Wins and losses don't matter as much in the preseason. Call me in week 1 if you see the same problems. Then we'll talk. But if you want more Jaguars coverage, make sure you tune in for the new episode of Teal the Show. We're going to roll that out tomorrow night on Monday at 11:20 right here on Channel 4. As always, Mondays and Friday nights, come hang out with us. It's the best way to keep up with the Jags. Really easy, and we'll always have a good time while we do it.